Hey everybody, welcome back to Visual Novel Book Club. I'm your pal Slowbeef, and I am absolutely not Pullahoko, who's sitting right here.
Hey guys.
Neither am I, my friend Jim.
Hey everybody.
I'm also not Ty Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I'm also not DeviousVacuum.
And I'm not Voidburger.
Not Voidburger, got it.
Slowbeef.
Just remember that. That was, I had a fever dream in which I found Voidburger's insulin needle in like a forest or something, but she's not diabetic. So. Well, I mean, there's other people besides you in my, that are diabetic that I know, by the way, but.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm not very publicly diabetic, because I would be infringing on his brand.
On my brother's brand?
Oh, on Diabetes' brand.
My dad's brand?
No, we don't talk. We don't talk about him on this.
Oh, sorry.
We're talking.
You just cut this.
That's okay. I'm joking. No. All right. So we're talking about Ever 17. We missed last week due to some shenanigans, plus me getting sick and all that nonsense. But so we read through day 2. I wanted us to do more initially. I said there's gonna be 6 sessions, but we'll talk about it, why only day 2 at the end. So if anybody wants to start off with Kid's second day, Devious, I know you took notes.
Okay, here's my notes. Refresh everyone.
All right. Sure.
So everybody wakes up in the morning afterwards, and no one has slept well except for Takeshi, who, if we recall, had a bunch of shit drawn on his face last time.
Right.
And everyone tells Sora to pretend like nothing is wrong, and so she does, and they just let Takeshi have his face drawn on for a long amount of time. And then he's...
That old prank.
Yeah, and then they're walking down the hallway together, on their way to get breakfast, I think, and finally Yu is mad, and he's like, I don't know, why are you so mad? And she's like, the answer is all over your face, or something like that, and then he wipes his face and sees that there's ink on his hand, and is like, what did you guys do? And it's great.
It's a lot more like pranky and mischievous for this situation than I would have thought, like the current mood and stuff, but
Hey,
Yeah.
there's
I mean,
always
he's
time
kinda-
for a good prank.
He kind of deserves it, so that's fine.
yeah, no, right. That's fair, I guess. So Segumi, I think, rejoins them too, right? Because she wasn't in the decompression chamber with the rest of them.
And so Kid
Her
asks, what about,
Right.
are you worried about the bends? And she's like, no, I'm fine.
Right, so for some reason, Sora and Segumi don't have to worry about it. And I mean, and it's, and I'm looking at my quote-unquote notes, it's like, they all wake up around like 5 a.m., like 5:30 a.m., 5:40 a.m.-ish, so it's super early. What happened next? Anybody? You?
Don't they announce, like, that the announcement that the bulkhead is about to collapse in 119 hours?
Yes!
Yes!
Give or take 12.
Right, I think Sora calls him... Sora calls him back into the control room, I think, right? And she's like, I checked the computers here, and yeah, we've got about 6 days. Is it 6 days? Like a little less?
5
days.
Then 5 days, yeah, before Lemieux collapses under the ocean's pressure and we all drown and die.
And they all
Which,
take
like, I
it
think
really well. They all take
Yeah.
it really well. Like, at first they're like, oh shit, and then they're like, fuck it, that's like 5 days. We'll figure
5
something
days
out.
is
And it's
plenty
like,
of time. We can just hang out.
yeah, and they even say, they're like,
But
I mean,
here's
if you said like 20 minutes or like 2 hours, I'd probably freak out. But like, I mean, 5 days, what's that?
Yeah,
That's
5
like an
days.
eternity.
Let future me
But, like,
worry
and
about that.
And it was weird too, because they were like, oh my god, like 6 days, and it really was give or take 12 hours. And then the kid's like, wait a minute, guys, that means we're gonna be safe for at least 5 days. And they're like, yeah, you're right, we got 5 days, it's fine.
So
And
they're
then
pretty
that's like, and it's like,
confident that like the rescue team is on their way. Like they're I think they're still at that point, and they're like, someone's gonna come get us. It's gonna take less than 5 days for them to come get us.
right, that's plenty of time. I guess so, yeah. I was a bit taken aback by the reaction, but now that you say that, I guess I could see it, you know.
I think we also might have talked about this before, back when we learned that the bottom 2 floors were at 1 atmosphere of pressure, because it didn't make sense. It's like, well, they're at 1 atmosphere of pressure, like, the whole point is that it's a pressurized situation, so what's going on, and then they finally address it. I also made a note that Tsugumi was familiar with how Lemmy made calculated these things, which more evidence for her knowing about Lemmy and what that's all about.
I totally missed that. I don't know if it was because I just missed it when I was reading it or whatever. But she knew how that calculation was made, more or less. She implied that she knew oh yeah, it was this calculation, and kids oh. So. Well, holy shit.
Then they have a delicious breakfast of chicken sandwiches, and Kid plays rock paper scissors with Mayo. And then what happens during that?
It's not just rock paper scissors, right? It's like rock paper scissors charades.
Yeah, totally a real game.
Yeah.
They keep screwing up childhood games in this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a recurring theme. They have childhood games with a twist where it's this one's rock paper scissors, but if you lose, you have to make the loser do an impression of somebody, right?
It's like half Calvin Ball. They're so close to just playing a regular ass game people play, and they're but also you gotta say, let's make the donuts before you throw rock or paper. And it's why?
Yeah, and then I don't know why they did, but so you play with Mayo first, right? The kid, I think, plays with Mayo, and you win. There's no choices or anything, but then they give you the choice of how to punish her, and you can make her act I don't really get this. I guess it's supposed to be Minnie Mouse, but they spell it Miney Mousey. Maybe to avoid some kind of copyright thing, which I don't think would have applied here anyway. Or Caesar, or you, or a spoiled baby. This was a non-important choice, so I think I just went with Act Like You, personally, but...
Oh, it was
What
spoiled
happened?
baby.
That's in Yu Tanaka.
I went spoiled baby.
I also
Spoiled
did go
baby.
spoiled
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
And then the kid says, sorry, I can't remember what babies are like, so I don't know if you're doing it or not.
I've never seen a baby.
Fuck you!
This is the most complete amnesia anyone has ever had in any piece of media whatsoever. It's literally just an erase function.
I forgot how to breathe.
Well, I'm playing Ghost
And
Trick
then-
right now, and it reminds me of just occasional lapses of what things are. It's just I forgot what a pistol is. Is that a pistol? But it's that, but with a baby, which seems like a thing that's, it seems like a thing you just
Yeah.
inherently understand. It's like a person, but smaller.
Also,
I don't know.
the kid is so young still. Come on. Come on.
The only thing I can imagine is maybe they mean it's I know I've seen a baby, but I just can't remember. I don't know.
What are
I
babies
have no
like,
idea.
though, when you get down to it?
Are they deep?
He
Are they
knows
well
what
read?
spoiled means. There's a lot of layers to this that don't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. What is a spoiled baby? Are there babies that aren't spoiled? No, baby, you're working for this.
Sorry,
More
baby.
egg imagery.
Sorry, baby. I'm upping child labor laws to include you. Clean the kitchen.
Time to get a job, Junior.
If you tell her to act like you, she kind of doesn't know how, and she's oh, I'm the head of a motorcycle gang, and the kid's
What?
is that her? And she's well, maybe just the other day, and now she's normal, and then there's just a bunch of ellipses, and then you comes by anyway in her new outfit,
Yeah.
and then and she's totally you're. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I was just gonna say that shows up and she changed clothes, and she's wearing a red shirt, and I was like, this is a different person. This is a clone. This is what I put in my my notes. Is this the same person, or is this an elaborate setup? Because again, we are still unclear about why why it says 5 to 7 life forms at any given point. What's up with that? And so I'm extremely suspicious. And Sora's not there.
That's right.
Oh,
and it's funny too because
sorry, that's not. So the lights start to flicker, and then
right,
they go out, and then they start looking for everyone, and then Yu says, "We don't need to look for Sora."
Right. So, and also, by the way, Yu also immediately knows the game and goes, "Oh, are you guys playing rock, scissors, paper, charades?" But anyway, sorry, I just wanted to. But yeah, you're right. So there's all of a sudden the lights flicker. There's kind of a blackout, and they're trying to looking for everyone. And yep, and exactly. So they start going through, and they're they're looking for. They find Takeshi, I think. It looks like.
Yeah.
They find Takeshi and.
Yeah, they find Takeshi and Tsugumi because Takeshi was bringing her a sandwich for breakfast. And then they're like, okay, well, we found everybody, where's Sora? And Yu says, I don't think we'll find Sora even if we look.
Right, yeah. But she won't really explain what that means, I don't think,
Which is
right?
weird, now, like, knowing, like, I guess we'll get to it later, but, like, why not just say it? I don't understand. It's just kind of tropey, I guess.
Yeah, like, it was pretty obvious, too, when they said it. It's like, okay, well, there's a power outage. You could kind of imply what was going on at that point, like it made sense, but at the same time, yeah, I was like, why wouldn't you just say it? Like, when we get to it, yeah, we can talk about it more.
I was all like, oh, this is it, like, Sora is the other, like, weird angel experiment with Coco and the kid, and that's what's going on. I was, like, ready with, like, 30 different reasons why she could be gone, especially because, as we go on later, they seem to have information that they shouldn't have.
The weird angel experiment with Coco and the kid.
Yeah, which is real and definitely a thing that's happening in this game, and not just a conjecture that I have because of the imagery.
Okay, so I think they say they have to like redo the power from like some generator room or something that's in a different part of the second floor. But it's one of the areas that's, like, separated now, that it's blocked off by water.
Yeah, which all of a sudden there's, like, a plan on how to get there. Like, before there was, like, oh, we can't go to any of these other places. But now, today, oh, no, we can access that area using the neutral buoyancy elevator, or the egg elevator, as we've called it. Like, why didn't you say that before, when we first looked at the map?
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest, too. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say they literally went through the map in detail and did not at any point point out those neutral buoyancy elevators.
You're right, yeah. And I'm going to be totally frank. I didn't really get the neutral buoyancy elevator and how that would go, like, sideways or however it would get to these inaccessible sessions.
Yeah.
Like, I get it's like a submersible kind of unit, but I don't understand how it works at all. Outside of, like, we can float to the other sections that aren't underwater, and it's like, but how is that thing so special that it would?
It has a tank attached to it that adjusts itself to be the correct weight, I guess. Like, it takes in water or it pushes out water so that it either, like, floats or sinks.
Yeah, it's ballasts. Yeah, it's just ballast that are, like, taking in water, like the same on a pontoon boat or something. It just takes in water or ejects it and floats up and down. But that's why it doesn't make sense to me later.
But then why don't you just ride it to the surface?
Well, they can't. Yeah, that's what I wasn't sure about, but I figure that it must only go up to. It must have to stay in the water, so it only goes up to the first floor. The top.
Yeah, my
like,
guess.
Not the land level, but the first floor underwater, and they can't get out on that floor because it's filled with water.
Or maybe it's, like, in the structure of Lemieux, so you can't just, like... It's not just out in the ocean. Like, maybe it's still, like, in the rigging.
Well,
it's in a tube, yeah. You can't, like...
Okay.
You can't, like, bust it out and take it to the surface.
Yeah, and the ballasts are broken, is the other thing, too, so it can't take in or eject water.
I see. So, is that why, basically, they get there? And this is the part that kind of confused me, too, and they're like... Oh crap, we don't weigh enough to make this thing stop floating so we can like float over or sink over to where we need to go, right? Because they get there and there's like a problem with buoyancy and they're like, if we need more weight to like weigh down the ballast to get this thing moving.
Yeah, so they have to go get heavy things and put them into the elevator to sink it down to this area of the 3rd floor.
We should explain too that by they we mean it's Takeshi, the kid, Sora, and you, right? Not Sora. I'm sorry. Mayo and you.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Tsugumi has fucked off yet again, and Sora is missing.
Yeah, exactly. So they kind of have this thing where they all try to grab objects to lay it down, and let's just get right to it. I think you finds a giant fish.
Mayo does.
Mayo finds the giant fish. Yeah. And there's a pretty great image that when I was looking for artwork for the podcast that I had encountered prior to seeing the scene where the Takeshi, you, and Mayo are very seriously carrying this giant frozen fish.
Yeah.
And it's just like kind of wide-eyed and staring, and they say it's like supposed to be, I guess this is a Japanese thing, like it's a giant fish that I guess that you would serve like whole, at some meal, like you defrost it and cook it and then serve like as is kind of, but otherwise it looks like they're just holding on a giant fish out of nowhere, but all right.
Yeah. It would be weird for a tuna to just be like stored with the head on and everything like that, unless it was some kind of special fancy thing.
What's confusing to me is why would an underwater base need cold storage for fish?
That's a
like
good
if it was
question.
fancy stuff, wouldn't you just like get the fish like from outside? Like you'd have some mechanism.
But we found out last time this isn't an aquarium. That is the weirdest thing that we found out about Lemieux so far, is that it's not an aquarium.
But by nature, it's like close to fish. Like you could get fish from outside. It's in the ocean. That's about as close to fish as you can get, generally.
Yeah, and like if there was such a thing, they could probably use it to escape, right? Because there would be some kind of like, oh, here's a net, and then we have to bring it into the system, into the building, and they could
Click out the fish trap. Everybody escape through the fish door.
Brilliant.
And one other thing, we've got some food stands here. They have chicken sandwiches, they have hot dogs. We have not seen any fish products.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, why is that fish there? Because they're clearly not making fish sandwiches.
Oh, this is weird. It is a lot of weird.
This is a weird story. Let's just stop here. This is too mysterious. All right, but
So they get to the generator room.
Yeah, because the fish weighs down the ballast of the egg, which they call the EI, and brings them to the generator room. Right, I'm sorry. Please keep touring us.
Well, so they get to they get down off the elevator, and then they get out, and then of course the elevator raises back up, and not until that moment does everyone go, wait, how are we gonna get back up now? And you is like, oh no, there's another one that's stuck on the 3rd floor, which we can use to take back up, because it can eject water, but it can't take water in. So it's like, this is like a one-way thing, I guess. Unless you have more coordinated effort between people in the future. And it's like, first of all, when did you get this competent? What? So something was up there with Sora being gone and you like suddenly being more competent. It kind of made me think, like, is Sora somewhere else and communicating this information to you in some way? But that doesn't seem to be the case.
And she doesn't seem super competent either, because you'd think the competent thing to do would be like, hey, before we step off this elevator, or before, you know what I mean? Like, we got to figure out how we're going to keep it, rather than, oh, lucky for us, there's another elevator. Or even if she knew about it. I don't know. It just seems like kind of unsafe, because, like, if there's something wrong with that elevator she wouldn't know about, then they're screwed.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, they'd be locked out of fucking chicken tendies forever.
Yeah.
Serious.
And it's like super game logic where like you'll travel through different levels of a game, be like, oh, why can't I just use this same thing I just used to get back? And they'll be like, oh, because this elevator doesn't have that. So you're stuck on this level till you defeat all the enemies. Like, it's really like, it's like, as much as this is a visual novel, it's still got that same ideal.
It's sometimes I've encountered that in like media like this where like they'll sometimes too like over explain a thing where it's like, why can't you just do that? And sometimes like you're okay and you'll take it on faith, but there's still that like, oh well, you can't do that because you know what I mean? Like there's like the writer at least kind of thought through like every single angle, even when you don't necessarily need it. It's like, yeah,
just tell me the elevator doesn't work anymore. I'm fine. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
right.
The other weird thing about that was the way the whole neutral buoyancy elevator worked was, even if, okay, I'll let slide all the shenanigans of we just threw a fish on it with all of us and that was enough to make it go down. All right, so then you step off and you take the fish off and it's back at neutral buoyancy, right? Like, yes.
So why would it raise?
How do you, well, no, not even that. How do you make it lighter than that? Because, like, part of the assumption of we have another one that'll go back up is we can make it lighter than it already is. Which
I think it was because I think, and you can look at the LP, it was like it can only push water out, but it can't take water in. Because, like, the mechanism of pushing water out is different than taking
so
water
there's
in. I don't
water
know.
there's water in it that helped that weight, that it couldn't take more water in, so you needed the weight of the fish really to help that. And then the other one's broken so that it can expel its water. So, like, in other words, it should be light enough with a cargo of people normally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's just that, like, this had water on it. It just needed that it needed that extra right. The extra tiny push of the coincidental fish being.
Yeah, there's a little
in order
thing
to give
on
us
the
the funny
elevator
imagery
that says like max capacity 4 people, no fish, and they're just like today.
This seems like this seems like an overly complicated narrative element now that we're talking about it. Like,
yeah,
I'm wondering.
It could have just been like, oh yeah, we can use this elevator, and then we use it. Like, it doesn't. You know, it could break later if it needs to break for plot reasons. Like, why? Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Like, yeah, we're going to encounter, like, some kind of one-way thing where, like, only 2 people can get on, and you'll have to choose, you know what I mean? Or
make
something
a terrible
like that.
choice.
Like, it seems like of all the things...
Happen.
Yeah, it seems like of all the things to, like, go overboard on your sci-fi nerd narrative, like, come on, man. Don't pick the elevator. The elevator's like, that's like the most boring thing to go on about. Sorry, elevator engineers and researchers. But, like, don't sci-fi up your, like, talk about the lights or something, I guess. Like, I don't know.
But
you're in a fucking underwater mage base. Like, come on. Like, don't focus on the elevator. Focus on how the chicken sandwich stand works. I don't care. Like, this is something that's not the elevator.
Did you see the egg, though? Like, all that, we were like, please show us the egg, and they did show us the egg. They showed us the inside of the egg. Mm-hmm. Not the outside, but at least the inside, with its, like, curved walls.
We did get to see it.
And then they wouldn't stop talking about the egg, and the monkey's paw finger curled.
Right. They just ruined egg for us.
Mm-hmm. I no longer desire egg.
For me. Anyway. So Kid stays Yu's hand before she opens the door to the generator room, and he goes, wait, what if it's hot? What if it's hot on the other side? You'll burn your hand. And they splash some water on the handle, and sure enough, it evaporates because it's super hot on the other side. And how does he know that? We're not sure. Him and Mayo both kind of realize what's going on, and he says to himself, the one who had known was a separate someone inside me. Which, like, what? So ghosts.
Yeah, I mean, when they get to the door, he just kind of starts freaking out. You know, he doesn't know why, but this door is just bad news. And then Mayo just kind of picks up the slack and says, oh, well, maybe such and such on the other side's happening, and the door's hot, and you might burn your hand. And then the kid's kind of like, oh, yeah, that's exactly what I meant, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
seems like someone solved the millennial puzzle and has a bit of a pharaoh in him. That's my guess.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, so is this something with Sora, like, or with Coco, where like they're in this dissociated, non-embodied state where they can still communicate? Is this like a ghost thing or something? I don't know. It did seem like everybody knew more than they should at this point, considering how incompetent they have been previously in the game, and now all of a sudden you is like, oh, fix the generator, and Kid and Sarah are like, oh, well, what if it's hot on the other side? Like, whoa, hey guys. All that the chicken sandwiches, good for your brains.
And then after that, they're like, okay, we turn off the steam pipes or whatever. They figure out how to make it so it's not actively exploding with steam in there. They go inside, and Yu's just like, yeah, I know how to fix this.
Yeah.
Just this massive generator for the whole base. She's like, oh yeah, no, I know how to do this. And what?
Did we talk about the choice real quick before we get in there?
Oh. Yeah, while they're fixing the steam pipes, Kid talks about Coco to you and says maybe she's a ghost.
Or no, I meant like there is before that even. Before we were gonna go in the generator, you can either, just for people at home who know like about this stuff, but like there was a choice we had to vote on where it was like, do you want to go with you or do you want to wait with Takeshi and Sora? Mayo, excuse me. I keep calling her Sora because her name's Sarah, but whatever. No, so you can go with you or you can stay with Mayo and Takeshi, and it's super awkward because like Yu is kind of like, yeah, I might need some help, and then for some reason Mayo's like didn't want to help her, and Takeshi's like, I'll go, and she's like, nah, I feel weird going alone with you. Nah, how about you, Kid? You want to come with me? That's when you're like.
And then Takeshi, then Mayo is like, oh, Takeshi, you're a creep also. So everybody just is like, no, Takeshi, you're a total creepo. I don't like you.
I don't need any help from a guy with his hand glued behind his head.
Well, he was like mumbling fuck dreams about you, and that's why. Is he had done been like, he's like, gonna have that, yeah, like in his sleep though. So like, he doesn't know that that's why everybody's creeped out, and like, I don't know. I feel like Kid at least, yeah, Kid should probably be the one to be like, you were mumbling fuck dreams all night, and he just be like, oh god damn it, like, but then I mean maybe he'd over-explain it or something.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, like fuck man, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm a teen.
I'm not like, you can't control dreams.
I'm a teen. Yeah, but at the same time, like, that's why, and it's kind of funny to me just that like some kid has a wet dream and everybody's like, man, fuck that guy.
Episode
I think
3,
it's funny too.
Dreams.
Or Kid's like, he's my competition. Screw this guy. I'm gonna let him dangle in the wind. I'm not bailing him out in nothing.
I guess so, because Kid has a crush on everyone.
Seriously.
But yeah, so they're fixing stuff, which Yu is like amazingly competent at. All of a sudden, she knows which pipes to turn off. Like, she's a part-time worker at Lemieux. Like, why does she suddenly know about all these pipes and like what they're for? I don't know. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
And Kid revisits how he saw Coco and is like, well, hear me out.
Right.
What if she's a ghost? And Yu is actually a goddamn Redditor and is like, excuse me, but this isn't real, and ghosts aren't real, and none of this is real, and superstition is the enemy, and I hate it.
Yeah, she really lays into him.
She talks about how she has like prepared speeches and shit on top of that.
She's like, I learned offensively.
She's like, I've learned how to deal with argumentors, and just was like, come on now, like, what? Who does that? Who's like, I have a prepared speech in case some random child brings up ghosts to me. Here I go. It's like, no, please, let the child be dumb.
And they start talking about Lemuria too, like the mythical nation where life originated, and she's like, that's bullshit too, right?
Well, because Kid says, do you think God struck down Lemuria in like a Sodom and Gomorrah situation? And it's like, whoa. Where did that come from? Like, you have amnesia and also you're religious now?
It does seem like a weird conversation that they're having. It's like, do you believe in ghosts? No. How about God coming down and striking down a colony? Like,
and her big argument is like,
of Babel.
at that point, she starts humoring him, and she's like, well, I mean, if God was pissed off, I mean, would he just destroy everything, or would he sink it to the bottom of the ocean? I don't know. I think he would do this.
It's almost like Kid was trying to lead her into it, where he's like, do you believe in ghosts? Like, yeah, there could be an afterlife. Okay, how about... And then, like, the plan failed, so he's like, all right, fuck it, I have no plan B, so we'll just keep going.
And so she talks about the Tower of Babel, and she talks about Shiva, the god of creation and destruction, and then they start talking about third eyes, and how third eyes have been used in mythology. And also some lizard that has a vestigial third eye on its head.
Oh yeah, and she starts talking about like pineal glands and shit. Like the pineal eye or whatever. And going like way deep into it. Like way weird levels of deep into it to a child.
And she makes like a your mom joke too. It's like, oh, someone is watching me from behind. Oh, you mean your mom?
Yeah.
That's right.
But then Yu's mom... Yu's mom is an archaeologist who studies the history of the third eye in mythology. So, okay, so hold on. So Yu's mom studies the third eye as like a professor, and Yu's dad went missing and was part of the development of Lemmy in Lemieux. Like, okay, what?
Well, my other concern there is then you, if I'm remembering correctly, is like, yeah, you can see a third eye, such as the one I have here, and just starts leaning really close to him, and then like he's just like real, like Kid at this point is just enraptured by this and taking it super seriously and probably like a little worried. And she just like jumps back and she's like, I'm just fucking with you, you stupid idiot. Like, what? Why would you fall for that shit again? God, you're stupid. And it's like,
it never gets old.
Yeah, he's like, just like, God, this kid's the easiest mark. I love him. And but yeah, like, so I'm wondering if that is true about her mom being a researcher of all of that, or if it was just part of the elaborate prank leading into you stupid idiot again.
That's true.
You know, I will say, because they do talk about the third eye philosophically, and they bring up the pineal gland, and according to Wikipedia, which is always accurate and correct. No, but the game brings this up, which is they think like the pineal gland might have been like a third eye that we like lost in evolution, or not lost in evolution, but you know what I mean, like we evolved away from, and that it's that gland now. And it does say here that they think it is like it used to be like a photoreceptor of some kind. So it isn't total junk science or whatever. It looks like Uchikoshi did some good homework there. Not an Ice 9 situation, right?
Yeah,
I just wanted to throw that out there.
They say like the third eye was involved in like being able to see into the fourth dimension.
Oh yeah, right. It was like did they get into that where it's like you have two eyes, stereoscopy lets you see like a third dimension, so the third eye is how you'd see fourth dimension. I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for Lemurians with an eye on top of their heads, right? Because they talk about Lemuria. It's like Atlantis, this super ancient civilization that was also light years ahead of our technology and our science. So, like, maybe that's what's in that room. Maybe there's Lemurians in there and they have an eye on top of their heads. Maybe we're going to find a character later who has an eye on top of his head and is a Lemurian. That's my take. I'm waiting for that to happen.
I think it's the guy who is the guard, the Squidward-looking guard at the carousel. He's just going to open his third eye and be like, yes, I'm a Lemurian.
I forgot about him, but yeah, no, I'm down with that. What do you call it? So, what happens here? So they have the big long talk about the third eye while she's wrenching away at the steam vent and stuff like that, and then they go to turn on the generator, and they have some ridiculous countdown thing.
Yeah,
where
Takeshi goes, oh, well, we'll count down starting from 50 before we turn the power back on, and he insists this is like some kind of ritual, and everyone's like, 50 seconds, and they just push the button.
Right, yeah. And then it takes a few seconds to actually turn on, and they're counting down, and then at like 17 or something like that, the lights come on with 17 seconds, and they start kind of bullshitting like, if I had started at 34 seconds, it would have been right, and then whatever.
It's so pointless. It's weird. It makes me wonder if we would have learned something about the 50 seconds if we had taken Takeshi's route earlier instead of Kid's route. Like maybe we learn about his friends at that point, and we missed that because we chose the other route, so we don't know what this ritual is.
Right. And then, let's see here. They get on the elevator, right? And it doesn't start. But then, so they get into the other egg, and it won't float up. But then Sora appears and apologizes for being out of action. But anyway,
she talks to them over the communicator. They can go up using the other elevator. They can only use it 2 at a time, but they can do it. And then when the fish comes out of the elevator, so Yu brings the fish up 1 floor before Takeshi comes up, and so you, Mayo, Kid, and the fish are up there, and Sora sees this fish and thinks Takeshi turned into a fish and is like, oh my god, what have I done? Oh my god. And everyone just is like, this is a hilarious joke and definitely not super suspicious.
That. And then,
like, what?
And then...
Are they turning people into fish? Are they turning fish into people?
There's
especially when we learn later, it's even more confusing that, can we just say it now at this point? Mistake. Can we just say it? Because it'll save time, I feel.
It's almost there, yeah, so we might as well. Very, very soon, an event happens where Takeshi's like, oh, hey, Sora, I forgot to give you your chicken sandwich because I didn't see you earlier. And she's like, no, and he goes, and I got you a soda too, and he just throws them at her, and they go through her, and even though I guess he lobs it, it says that the soda can hits the wall violently behind her, which is a little odd, I think. But, holy shit, and then we see Sora is kind of like translucent, because her foot's still on the can, and it's like going through her, and we find out she is a hologram, and it's a little weird how they explain the technology behind it, but apparently all throughout Lemieux there are like little laser pointer kind of things that shoot a very light laser at the eyes of like the guests and make Sora project in front of them, but she's sort of an avatar for Lemmy. Is that kind of accurate to how
that's basically what it was.
Like, she's her own AI that's a tour guide, but yeah, she's part of Lemmy.
And we probably, there's a good chance we would have learned that if we didn't listen to the little girl's joke right at the beginning, because one of them comments offhand, like I think it was used, like, were you not paying attention to the introduction where they explain that Sora is a tour guide hologram and not a real person? And so they all have a laugh about this.
About it?
That's the thing where it breaks down.
Did no one say it?
Right, yeah. Like, exactly, because much earlier you is very clear, like, oh, the power's off, so I don't think we're gonna find Sora, guys, but she could have just said, because she's a hologram being projected by the plate. I don't really get that.
But yeah, so it's
outside of just the narrative.
It's super weird that a projection of the computer, like the AI that generally knows what's going on, has a gut reaction of like, oh shit, Takeshi turned into a fish, oh shit, like, why would a computer think that unless there is a way someone could transmogrify into a fish aboard this ship?
Yeah.
And also, like, she supposedly has access to the whole thing where they can detect body temperature, so you would know he wasn't a frozen fish.
It's so weird. Everything about that was weird. It might have just been a joke. I don't know.
That's the tricky thing about this stuff too, is you can't tell like what's just like a badly translated per se joke. I don't mean literally bad translation, but you know what I mean, like,
or
it doesn't.
Just a bad joke.
Or what's part of
that's
the
what I mean.
kaikaku. Kaikaku means plan. Translator's note.
Oh, but we skipped over the choice, which is
the
the kid goes for a walk while they're all eating lunch, and Mayo asks, will you get us some juice? And you guys voted to not get her any juice.
To be totally fair, Mayo does not ask for juice. She's like, kid's like, I'm gonna go take a walk. She's like, oh, you're gonna go buy that juice stand? And he's like, yep. And she's like, I'll take grape.
Yeah.
Like, I read that as a little obnoxious. Oh yeah, here it is. She's like, I'm thirsty. There was juice in the kiosk, right? And kid's like, I think so. And she goes, okay, thanks. Like, you're getting me that juice.
Nope.
That's where I was, I mean, I didn't vote, but I was kind of like, yeah, I don't think so.
Well, it doesn't matter
But,
because he goes and gets her the juice anyway. They just have to have a whole conversation about it, and we probably have -1 Mayo points now.
Oh no, he totally
okay.
negged her. That's a plus. That is plus Mayo
no.
points.
Good luck for
Now we're not
everyone
gonna
in
get
this
the Mayo
call. I
ending.
have enough Mayo points to go around.
Okay, never mind.
So-
That's the episode title.
I have enough Mayo
enough,
points to go
just
around.
enough Mayo
All right,
points to
I'll
go
win.
around. You got it. Yeah.
Good, because I didn't think mumbling fuck dreams would pass the muster on anything.
Oh yeah, you can't swear on YouTube now. Sorry.
Right.
One of those heroes is gonna shut you down.
Oh. And then Kid goes and he gets 2 sandwiches, but when he gets back to the conference room, there's only 1 sandwich. What happened to the phantom sandwich?
Oh yeah.
Maybe
That was a
that's
thing.
from a chicken that might or might not be.
I think Coco took it. That's what I
Dun
think.
dun dun.
Ghost
That,
don't
that
eat.
sandwich phased into the upside down where Coco is.
Or the
Yep.
other you that you theorized is in her other outfit that we saw in the previous day.
yeah, or
Maybe-
use good clone.
Or maybe he had a power blackout and the Pharaoh had a sandwich. How about that? Maybe the Pharaoh ghost inside of him ate a quick sandwich.
That's why you didn't need to eat anymore. Yeah, it's fine. Oh my god, wouldn't that be wild if we had a second personality in there, just busting out at random times? That would be great.
Who's really good at cards. Just
We play a game of Mental Guts, by the way.
That's
which
a great
I'd
game
never heard
name,
of.
by the way.
It's super famous.
What is Mental Guts? Yeah, and it's like you shake a can, I think. Oh, it's like that bonus round in Tapper where you shake one can, I think, and no, I don't know, I forget what it is, but it's something with a soda exploding, right? Isn't that it, or?
I don't
No,
know.
all right. I forget. I'm just
the next point in my
thumbing
notes
through.
is when we find out that Mayo is a hacker.
Oh yeah,
Where did that
right.
come
They just
from?
kind of bring that up too.
She's a pro
Yeah.
hacker, one of the best in the world. She won a competition.
It really just seems like it starts out where Kid approaches you and tugs on her sleeve. And he's like, "This conversation's crazy complex. What's with Sarah anyway?" And she's like, "She is a computer ninja of sorts." And then it's like she's a hacker. And then I think this is an arbitrary choice, but you could say strangely, "What's a hacker?" Or naturally, I knows the hacker.
Which is what I
don't know.
said.
You had to say naturally I knows the hacker.
Naturally, I know
Right.
the hacker is another good episode title candidate.
I can't. I'll put that down as a candidate, but like I can't tell if that was intentional or not.
No,
Like
that's a translation problem. For sure.
I know.
I don't think it's a problem at all. That
I
seems
love-
perfect to me.
an extremely
I
cool
knows the
voice.
hacker.
I knows what a hackers is.
Mayo tuna
yeah,
sandwich. Ace hacker.
Did they do the story of how they met in computer class or whatever? Or
But so
okay.
she's asking a bunch of questions to Sora about how she works. I think they call it an RSD. The type
RSD,
of,
I believe.
Yeah, RSD, which is like retina something display, because it's a laser
okay, yeah.
that's shot into your retina. Sora doesn't have a physical body, and if you close your eyes, she's not displayed anywhere. Man, as somebody who knows about eye tracking, this is really difficult to believe, because eye tracking is so hard.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. It is absolutely
It's really hard.
So
And, like, it never
there
works.
was
And to think about just, like, casually eye-tracking, like, a whole park worth of people is insane.
And there were two things that I can't remember if the other one was here, where they mentioned they need the headphones in because the headphones
Oh, yeah.
on them were like locators that it used kind of as like 2 PlayStation Move controllers on either side of your head, so it knows exactly where you are. So it like calculates and triangulates your position based on that. And more importantly, you mentioned it briefly, DVAC, that if you close your eyes, if everyone closes their eyes, she ceases to exist, which kind of
cease to exist.
She
just doesn't isn't displayed.
I think she said like
Yeah,
she doesn't
she does.
exist. If everyone closed their eyes, like she doesn't exist. Which, if that's the case, that is a motivation for a self-aware AI to trap people in a place if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
That's true. But then they'll die.
That is true.
I mean, and then they'll die. I don't know. So it will only be
that's-
for a little while longer. But yeah, also the earbuds are how you can hear her voice too.
Unless they're planning to shut Lemu down. So her thing is like, my only way of surviving this is if I keep these people trapped here basically forever. But I'm just like conjecturing completely out of my ass at this point, so I don't know how that plan would really work, but
Infinite chicken Sammys.
Right, there you go. I sort of thought it was like trying to bring up some kind of philosophical thing of like, it's like you're technically not alive in moments where, I mean you are, but like where your synapses, like in those like microseconds where your brain's not doing anything, or you know what I mean, or when you go to sleep and your consciousness is all, like one of those kinds of philosophical thought experiment type of things, you know what I mean, where it's like, well, this AI is technically not alive if there's nothing to project to type of deal. I didn't know, you know what I mean?
I wrote
That's
in my
kind of how I read it.
I wrote in my notes, Sora says that she doesn't exist unless someone is looking at her, much like how our reality is held in place by the constant observation of a godlike consciousness.
There you go, yeah.
Because that was how the conversation was going. But the next bullet point is, she is sad about this, but she actually never exists. She doesn't have a physical body. Like...
Or like how that one guy in Mystery Man can't turn invisible unless no one's looking.
One thing that kind of
What a smart
stood out to
documentary.
me is
Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
yeah, it's you can clearly tell she's capable of abstract thought, and she's not just like beep boop, I am a robot. So it's it could go either way. It could be that yes, this is literally, if nobody's looking at me, I just don't exist. Or it could just be like something that she's trying to bring up because she mentions that she wants to be like them. So maybe she is just trying to think a little abstractly and kind of demonstrate that.
It also, now going back to Coco the Ghost, is Coco like some sort of like leftover RSD? And is it possible for RSDs to display for some people but not for others?
Totally, it's possible.
So it seems like that could be what Coco is. That could even be anyone that hasn't had to touch anyone yet is suspicious now.
Now, see, I hadn't thought of that. That is actually a really good angle.
And
See,
only
and
if
it-
it has
that would mean-
removed the ear things that we know of and put them back in. So, because like if someone else is secretly an RSD, right? But I guess the only other person that it could be would be Sugumi, because she hasn't like physically interacted with anything yet.
Oh, Sugumi punched Takeshi, didn't she?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they've all touched each other.
Yeah.
So none of them, if they are holograms, they're hard light holograms.
Coco bit the Tanuki's tail earlier.
Yeah, but that was a dream,
But-
though, wasn't it?
No, it was happening,
No.
but I mean, I don't know. Like, it could have been, or it could have not been. I don't know.
Well, I have no idea if it was literally a dream or not. It was sort of just how the game sort of cold opened in a way. So it was just like you staring at a rock, and then he's like, then I saw a Tanuki with, and then Coco, who's like, it's a weird dream to have because the Tanuki in the dream is there. It's really Sugumi dressed up as a Tanuki, we think. we're pretty sure. And then Coco with the dog, Pee-Pee, is there as well. So either it's some sort of product, or it's just... I didn't take it as a literal dream. I took it as, like, sort of flowery language. Like, it's like a cold open, so it's like, I had this I was, like, suddenly brought into this strange scenario, like a dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, like, since nobody else touched... Like, Coco didn't physically interact with anything else, I don't think. Or she does tap you on the shoulder, right? Like she does like,
yeah.
touch Takeshi. So I don't know. It could still
true.
like that could still be related to the explanation of what's going on with Coco.
And RSDs wouldn't have anything to do then with the life form readings changing from 5 to 7.
Yeah, so that also means that like Sora should not count as a life form reading. So there are only 5 life forms there. And so for it going from 5 to 7 means that there's 2 mysterious people there.
Yep.
Right. And I think initially we were thinking Coco would have been that quote-unquote 7th person, although
but now there's one more
Sora,
too.
Yeah, Sora brings that down to a mysterious 6th person, unless Coco herself is an RSD, which we're not sure on because she seems like she touched Takeshi earlier. Yeah, okay.
Or if
maybe Pee-Pee is the
Sora
RSD.
like faked a number for herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Pee-Pee.
Or the
dog.
dog,
Or the
yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
Or Pee-Pee. Sorry, you keep
Where's
saying
Pee-Pee?
it. Yeah,
Can we
what?
find
Pee-Pee?
What's wrong?
Can we find Pee-Pee's room?
You know, in Nihongo, Pee-Pee doesn't mean anything, Ty.
Oh, where's the pee-pee? Oh, I can't find the pee-pee.
You gotta give me that pee-pee.
Where's the pee-pee? I want that pee-pee.
Stop mumbling fuck dreams here.
So question, so I have a question about Sora, which is that,
Alright.
like, I get she has an emotional attachment. She tells Kid that she has this emotional attachment to people looking at her so that she's physically displayed somewhere. But
Yeah.
isn't she wasting valuable electricity? Like, if they have, if they're not sure how much power they have, like, she could just not display and only speak to them, and there would be a lot less electricity wasted on all this eye tracking that's going on, which is surely taking up a huge amount of power.
Well, I think
And
there
not only
is
that, but, like-
they're powered by the steam vent, right? Like there isn't some shortage
Presumably,
of
like,
the
electricity.
volcano.
Yeah,
If it's
it
literally
seems like
infinite
that.
and it doesn't matter, then that's one thing, I guess.
Yeah, I think that was the idea behind it being a renewable energy station too, like that being part of the research they were doing at Lemieux.
Right.
So I
One
guess
thing
it's
that-
okay.
company.
It was just like, I was like, that's a lot. That's a lot of processing power that you're using, Sora.
I think that she is just kind of was built to have that kind of limitation because it's part of a facade. It's, to present the notion that there's this tour guide there in the place. She can't ever, be in 2 places at once. And if, she's speaking to somebody, it, does the triangulation thing, and it has to be coming from the hologram. So I think that's just kind of her limitation.
Yeah, she might not, ever consider doing something like that. But I feel like they could, I don't know. It's not like I guess they're not in an electricity scarce situation, so they don't have to bring it up to her. But I thought that was a strange thing, that if there really was an issue, why are you wasting all of this computing power to display yourself when, it doesn't matter now?
Why are you wasting all this computer power to play Kick the Can?
Yeah, okay, so please, anyone else,
Yeah.
talk about Kick the Can.
So they decide to play Kick the Can. I don't get Kick the Can.
I thought I got Kick the
it's-
Can, but now I don't get Kick the Can.
Allow
like
me
tag-
to open grandparents.com and get the official
So they play Kick the Can, and I wasn't sure of the rules, and before we started recording, that was kind of the general consensus. Even reading Ever 17 and watching them play Kick the Can, I'm still not on the rules. And then, yeah, Ty, you found the rules. You can on grandparents.com.
Yeah, on
Amazingly.
grandparents.com. So
This is such a nice website. I've not even been there, but
yeah,
Can I wait?
I legitimately am just I didn't know. I was so glad that there was grandparents.com, but alas, I am. I am
Wait.
so pleased that that's real.
Hold on. Not only that, the URL, I've never read anybody reading a URL on the podcast, is www.grandparents.com/grandkids. /activities, games, and crafts /kick the can. Like, there's a grandkids section of it.
It
Is
is
there
so
an
pure.
FAQ? Is there
It
an
is so
FAQ
pure.
forgot your nose?
You know what though, it is grandparents.com is part of the AGA, or the American Grandparents Association. I'm not making that up. That's what that says
that's
on this
true.
Can
website.
I
That's true.
volunteer with the American Grandparents Association? Like, I've lost mine, but I'd be cool to go, like, hang out with other grandparents. Like, is that a thing? Can we go play kick the can or something? That'd be sick. But allow
And
me
there
to
is
read.
this total... okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So kick the can requires at least 5 people, but more people make for more fun. But here's the gameplay. One person, or a team of people if the group is large, is designated it. And an empty can is placed in an open playing field. With eyes closed, it counts to an agreed upon number and the other players run and hide. It then tries to... God, it's so weird they italicize it every time. Then tries to find
Right.
and tag each of the players, always keeping a watchful eye on the can. Any players whose tagged is sent to jail, usually in plain sight of the can. The rest of the free players attempt to kick the can before being tagged out. If they can kick the can without being caught, they set all the captured players free. The objective is just, it's basically just run around. Like, there's no real win objective other than if everyone gets caught, you lose. So that's the idea of Kick the Can. It's a really simple game, and it's weird that they managed to fuck it up.
Yeah.
So
a
Sugumi
game
gets
for
mad and
literal
turns off the
children.
lights. Sugumi turns
I'm sorry,
off the
can I
lights
before-
because she's mad.
Before we
Oh, sorry.
Before we get away from grandparents.com, though, entirely,
Yeah, can we
there's
stay
this
at
wiki-
grandparents.com a little bit, please?
Now, just for one more second. Oh god, this website's great. There's this WikiHow ass drawing of these two kids hiding in a tree from Kick the Can, and the one kid's mouth is... I'll have to post a picture in the podcast description, like a URL to it, but it's like they start to hide in the tree, and then their bottom halves are just gone. Like, the artist just said, fuck it. They're behind a tree. I don't need to draw the rest of them, and it's off. I'm sorry. I got really fascinated by that drawing. You were saying-
No. Like, they decorporealize on the other side of the tree.
Yeah.
They're
it's
really
just-
good at hiding.
I'm sorry, I haven't been
You'll
listening.
keep talking about this anime game. I'm gonna fucking check out grandparents.com.
Legitimately, that's all I've been doing for the last 5 minutes. They have free coloring pages, so that's pretty cool too. You can just
This
color shit
episode
in.
brought to you by grandparents.com.
They're not
Halloween
paying
jokes for
us, don't
kids.
even joke.
Halloween jokes for kids. Halloween jokes for kids. Slowbeef, why was the baby ghost crying?
Why?
Because he wanted his mummy. Yeah! I'm done. All right, good night, everybody. That was a good
mic.
podcast. We can wrap this up.
More anime jokes.
Oh.
Bringing it back around.
Okay, so Sugumi gets mad because she
Thank you.
doesn't want to play.
course.
Completely understandably, Sugumi does not want to play this game, and she gets mad and
No.
turns off the lights and leaves, which doesn't make any sense because Sora still displays when the lights are off. Because they're not totally dark, so she still displays. So I don't really know what that was all about. So everyone else makes plans to play this horrible game, and they're like, no, it's not fair, it's not fair. And Sora is like, I'm gonna give Takeshi, like, Solid Snake video game powers so he can find all of you in the dark easier, by, like, amplifying the sound that people make when they move through the water. Which, like, this huge convoluted explanation, which is like, sure, okay, that's a way to solve this, I guess. So it's even more complicated because now Sora is also affecting the audio, and Sora and Mayo are on a team together because Sora cannot physically kick the can.
Right. Yeah.
They're really stretching.
That's all I can say.
It's such a
Right.
stretch. But they do kind of, like, want to make Sora feel normal now, which is cute. And she gets to play the game.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden she's very childlike after all the previous stuff that she's said.
I will say, the previous chapters after this, after the reveal, she's not... I don't think she's as sinister as I had initially thought. Like, all the kind of shady, cagey shit she was doing, there's, like, reasonable, quote-unquote, reasonable explanations for it.
It's possible that she doesn't know, and doesn't want to say stuff that she doesn't know, because, like, she would be like, they don't let me access that information, or they don't let me say that out loud, or something like that.
Yeah, like, I can't tell you this. I literally cannot tell you this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right, I'm programmed that way. It's just not going to work. But we can play kick the can.
So then they play kick the can.
So...
And you, the Redditor, has a pro strat to math our way out of this one. And is like, hold on, we've got to have power in numbers, and we're gonna do, like, she has this amazing, like convoluted strategy. There's even a dialogue where it's like, I get it or I don't get it, so that you can try this, you can explain this try-hard strategy, and it doesn't even work anyway, because they all start getting tagged. Takeshi goes and tags Kid, and then Yu jumps out of the darkness and ninja kicks him into the water. So, like, Yu, like, she's, like, gone, like, totally in another direction. She is, like, really intense.
Well, wasn't her strategy, like, if we group up, there's less, like, individual units of people for him to find, I think was the idea, so you'd be easier to hide?
I don't know, because she spent, like, so long explaining it.
Hey, wait, also, if Sora is technically being projected to all of them, why would she have, like, a location?
Well, that has to do with her programming, right? Like we were talking about before. And she talks about that. She says that she only has one location. I think they even make a reference to how Mickey Mouse only has one location between all of Disney World, all the Disney parks. There's only one Mickey Mouse at any given time. Because,
is that true?
Like, and she was like, that's kind of how it works. Like,
I have a Disney family, and I had no idea.
If there's anything that would freak me out as a kid, it would be a teleporting Mickey Mouse.
No, having a Disney family will fuck with you, though.
A tale of two Mickeys.
Wait, so, like, they can't be in Disneyland and World at the same time?
yeah.
No, they can be in Land and World, but, like, at the theme park, there can't be two people, right? Is that the idea?
Yeah, the person in the suit cannot be out in the park, like, at two parks simultaneously. There's only one Mickey that's out interacting with people at any given time.
I mean, I think it has to be, like, something like Magic Kingdom and Epcot probably have their... But I get the idea. It's almost like you know two costume
It's one
Mickeys
in a
at
park.
once,
You have to make sure no child could physically see two Mickey Mouses at the same time, or Mickey Mice, as it were, or else it would shatter the poor child's mind.
Of course, because...
Universally true.
Because kids can't see 17 mall Santa Claus.
It's actually Mickey
exactly.
and not a person in a suit. So if you were on the phone, if you were theoretically on the phone, if you were in Disney World and on the phone with someone who is in Disneyland, you would never both see Mickey at the same time.
Right.
Child's in their phones.
I bet you the answer's on grandparents.com somewhere.
Somewhere on grandparents.com.
If you show a child two Mickey Mice at the same time, their object permanence leaves again.
or our grandparents, where all the cool grandparents go.
Like, it's really easy to break a kid. You know, you ever seen them let go of a balloon? They freak the fuck out.
I don't know. Like, I used to work with is, like, also from, like, a huge Disney family. And, you know, I lived in Los Angeles where Disneyland is. And so I heard, like, all these rumors about it. And that was one of them. That there's only one Mickey that's out at any given time.
And so is me.
Anyway. So somebody kicks the can. Or they hear the sound of somebody kicking the can. But nobody kicks the can. At first I think it's Tsugumi. But then later... they run into Tsugumi, who's just in the control room, and she's like, I'm not playing, idiot. But twice or three times or something like that, they hear, I think twice, they hear the can get kicked, but the can itself doesn't move. And so that's definitely Coco, for sure.
Oh, I was thinking it was Sora, like just projecting, because she talks about at length too, and she's talking about how her projection works. That her voice is using like stereoscopic sound, basically. So if it looks like she's off to the left, she adjusts the voice so that it's coming from your left. So like, I mean, in theory, if it was perfect 3D sound, she could very easily play the sound of a can being kicked that she maybe recorded earlier when it fell over or something, and just play it over there.
All of them are like, who did it? And she herself is like, I don't know. I mean, is she lying so that she can
Is she
cheat
learning?
at the game? Like, that
Is the
seems
computer
like really...
learning to be more human? To lie?
It's really overboard just to do that. And like, she doesn't admit it later after the game is over or anything, and she acts like she doesn't know. She's not creating that sound. Or else she would say like, oh yeah, it was me, and she doesn't ever say that.
Yep.
It's weird.
The whole game is weird, like, and they've got this weird stepping on the can rule, which doesn't seem to be in any version I've ever heard of before.
Yeah, that ends the can. You can't have that. You need the can.
Yeah.
It's integral.
Yeah.
How can you
It's
kick
the
the
third
can
word
over
of
if
the
you crush the
title.
can?
Yeah.
You can still kick a crushed can. Say that 3
Then it
times
doesn't make the
fast.
noise.
Doesn't
You
make
can still
Yeah.
kick the crushed can.
What's the fun
Yeah.
in kicking a crushed can?
Yeah, that sucks. That's garbage. I wouldn't play that. No thanks.
This game has been garbage from the beginning.
a crushed can, y'all.
Not according to grandparents.com. One of these websites is lying to me, and it's not grandparents.com. I'll tell you that.
Grandparents.com wouldn't lie to anybody.
They
How long
probably
have we
don't know
been playing
how.
Kick the Can in this visual novel about being stuck in an underwater theme park, and we're like, okay, let's play Kick the Can for 30 billion years. Oh my god.
Yeah,
It's,
we spent like a
so
good
long.
30 minutes on Kick the Can.
It seriously was.
The novel seems to have an issue with this. By the way, as far as just like tonality, it has a problem with deciding whether it wants to be goofy or whether it wants to be serious sometimes. And I guess it could be kind of like a comic relief thing that just doesn't fly all the time because the jokes don't translate terribly well. But a lot of times it comes off to me as just like, come on, can we please just be serious for a bit? Like, I don't want a diatribe. I mean, it legitimately was like at least 25 minutes going quickly through like panels and stuff. It still was like 25 minutes of just fucking around playing Kick the Can. And I was like, please.
I wonder
let
if like
this
the
stop.
producers walked into the programmer's room and said, hey, we need to slice of life this thing up a little bit.
Has anyone fucked that hologram
you know,
yet? No, sir, but we're putting in Kick the Can. Okay, all right. You have a week to get somebody to fuck the hologram or you're fired.
Someone tweeted me like something like, "Oh, really cool that you guys are doing every 17. Get ready for a lot of Kick the Can." So,
Really?
I'm hoping
Oh my
this
God,
is
did
the
they explain
only
it in, like,
instance
the
of that. I hope we don't. This isn't like a recurring theme.
I think it is.
Oh my god, it's gonna be.
I hope later on during. Well, I guess the only exception is if later on during the line or down the line, they play like high stakes Kick the Can, or like death Kick the Can somehow.
Oh no.
By the way, did we talk about? I had to do a baby thing real quick, but did we talk about the impact, the impactful choice during the Kick the Can
I don't
that we
think
chose
so.
to?
Sorry, my brain's all kick the can up. I forget what that choice was.
It was basically they're like, all right, so listen, with Kick the Can, we're gonna group up a bit. Do you want to group up with
That's
Sora,
right.
or do you want group up with Sarah and Mayo and Sora, or with you? You know?
Oh yeah, we choose to go
Yeah.
with you again. Are we like making a dating choice? Like, do we have? That's what I keep getting from this now. Of like, oh, we have the choice to go with you, and then sometimes we have the choice to do something nice for Sarah. I'm like, is this like a dating thing? Are we choosing which girl we're dating?
It definitely feels like it.
We're gonna have to talk. We're gonna have to talk about choices at the end of this. So then, if we want, like, if there's any, because this is nearing the end of day 2 anyway. So unless there was anything else we wanted to bring up besides this sort of awkward falling on Sora thing, that seems to have.
yeah.
I'm Sarah. Excuse me, Mayo. That seems to have happened. But so. Give me 1 minute. 1 sec.
Did you guys know that Ever 17 actually translates like it actually is Japanese? That's not like translated from it. It's actually like a romanization, and Ever 17 actually translates loosely to win an argument via kick the can.
God damn it!
I was seriously expecting you to be serious about that.
I was waiting for it. I said, he's going somewhere with this.
That's a little bit of Danganronpa joke while Slowbeef is gone.
Thanks for waiting until he was gone. Probably would have given the poor guy an aneurysm.
No problem.
Man, I don't know. I guess like we have to like now like meet up at RTX and play kick the can or something. At this point, podcast's over.
Okay.
Just
Did we? Sorry. So are we through day 2?
We can talk about the weird
No.
sexual tension moment.
Yeah.
Kid and Sarah both rush for the can, and they like smash into each other, and Kid ends up on top of Sarah, and they have like a weird sexual tension moment where like it zooms in on her face and she's blushing, and he's like, "Oh, I'm on top of you." Oh.
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
what? Okay, sure, this is happening now. Like, did we get enough Mayo points, and now we're having like romantic
This is the Mayo
tension with
reward.
Mayo? Are
For-
we accidentally
so,
dating both girls?
I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm pretty new to visual novels. I didn't really know about this character points thing that's going on. Is that like kind of what it sounds like?
That's a pretty common thing, yeah.
Yeah.
In a lot of dating games, like it's abstracted in that way that you get points by doing nice things, and you have to do enough nice things to get for them to like you sufficiently for you to kiss.
Like it's basically like
Got
a choose your own
it.
adventure type thing, but it's like on a point scale. It's like since you can have, since it's not just a book and turn to page whatever, you can actually have these, like things that solve and like build up and compare points and get the harem ending by getting the perfect balance between all of them, and then everyone hates you, or whatever ends up
And
happening.
it also
or you
gives
just,
you, like, you could fuck up. Like, if it's like, oh, you have to have at least 3 points, but you've had 5 chances, then you can fuck up and still learn and still get certain things to happen.
Right.
Right.
And then in some cases, it's like, well, I can give 1 point to her, but then if I give her a point, then somebody else loses a point, and so on and so on.
Well, so I have the flowchart kind of deal, so I kind of know what choices are leading to what. So I don't know what you want to know or not, but for now I'll just I won't say anything. But for days 3 and 4 and beyond, maybe, we do have a weird choice to make, which is a puzzle, right? And I put it in the Discord.
oh
and
yeah, I know this one.
So I don't really understand. It's hard to describe, I guess, because this is gonna be a podcast, so we can't just rely on the image. Although I'll put it in the description. But it's kind of looks like a series of barcodes almost, where there's like square, like rectangles and thin lines kind of interspersed. And the choice is sort of dependent on, at one point, Kid and you are trying to figure out the password in this. And the game's branching depends on the following things. At one point, the kid will be looking at this password, and he wants to solve it, and then he goes, "I've got it," or "I don't get it." So that's one part of it. And then the other part in actually solving it is they give you like a list of 6 choices, which I can show you, which are like, do you try to turn the piece of paper with this barcode thing over? Do you turn it upside down? Do you heat it? Do you rip it in 2? Do you tilt it? Or do you wad up the paper to solve it? And this is especially tough for English speaking or reading people, I guess, because the password's a Japanese character, so
I
it's
got it.
pretty tough to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
I got it.
You gotta tilt it. You gotta
Yeah,
tilt it.
you
You gotta
just tilt it
compress
up.
it.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm
it's like-
bad,
Okay,
like
do you-
notoriously bad at these puzzles, and I got that one.
Are you? I can't see it.
I just confirmed
I mean,
this by opening it in Photoshop and squishing it vertically, and yeah, it works.
Holy
it makes
shit.
Japanese characters.
Yeah, I've seen these.
All right.
Yeah, I've just seen these
Oh,
before.
you know
and
what?
You just tilt it forward so that you're looking at it like across the edge. That's how you do it vertically, or like on actual
I
physical
saw it-
media.
You know, it's so funny. I saw the solution to it, and I'm like, I have no idea how you get that from this. And now I tilted down my laptop on this image, and now I can see it. Okay. So yeah, it's one of those things where, like, if you tilt it at the right angle, the squares and the lines kind of coalesce into the characters, and it's in Japanese. So, this is where I was in, like, I was gonna have us vote on it, and it was like, maybe I should just discuss this, because, you know, it matters how many tries you get the puzzle in, and whether or not, like, before you even get a chance to solve it, whether or not Kid will say, I got it, or whether he guesses, more or less, you know what I mean? So, if we want, we can go with, I got it, and you're right, tilted is the answer, right away. First try.
I think so,
You think
all
that's
of
fair?
us seem to have intuitively gotten it. I mean, except for you, Slowbeef, but, like, the rest of us.
Yeah, no, and I'm kind of the GM person here, even though I shouldn't be, because I don't know shit about this. But, yeah, so that's one of the important choices. There's another choice coming up we already voted on, where someone says hacking is not a crime, you know what I mean? And then you can say, yeah, I get it, or I have no clue what you're talking about.
And we said,
Excuse me,
I have
actually,
no
the
clue
exact-
what you're talking about.
Oh, that's what we said? Okay, we have that one then. And then the last one, which is, again, this is like another puzzly one, where someone lays out encryption to you, which is, this is a really weird whatever, but they're like, so if you had 1-bit encryption, you'd encrypt something into 1 bit, which means 2 outcomes, 0 or 1, or 2-bit encryption, where you'd have 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, or 1, 1, so 4 outcomes.
I hated
And
this
how
class
many
in
outcomes?
undergrad.
How many outcomes would there be with 3-bit encryption?
It's 8. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so simple.
Yeah, it's 8. Yeah, that one's pretty. It's like, you don't need encryption for this at all. Like, it's just a stupid. It's like just like a binary counting thing. Whatever. That was silly. Ever 17. I think that's actually kind of, that might be all we need to vote on for a good long while, truthfully. So if we wanted, we could maybe even do days 3 and 4 for the next thing. But I'll go through quickly to see how long that is. But
It would make sense since
Yeah,
they
that's,
took so long for this one that to kind of get a bunch into the next one would kind of kid us up.
yeah. Yeah, it actually, it looks like this will take us through days 3 and 4, definitely. So, yeah. Alright, cool. So that was, yeah, that was, again, I wanted to do a discussion because I just didn't know how to play it with, like, some people solving it and other people not solving it, or if it's, like, really even fair to do that in, like, a poll thing, because I was like, no way anybody's getting this, it's in Japanese, and everybody's like, yeah, I got it, and then I'm like, wow, I'm just stupid, I guess,
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Well, to be fair,
So,
we
folks-
got it, but we have no idea what it says.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just a
Yeah,
matter
it's
of
just-
if you've seen this kind of printed puzzle before, you remember it, because it does have
Yeah.
a very unique look to it.
Well, also the
Yeah.
answers are like turd it or like tear it in half, and like those are very clearly not the way to solve this puzzle.
Yeah,
Smell
don't
it,
take the
right.
power
lick it.
of the paper.
Right. Alrighty, well, I guess that wraps it up for anything, unless anybody had plugs or stuff they wanted to say at the end.
I'm just
Not
going to
all edit this
say
awkward.
I've got a prediction that, I'm going to call it right now. I think we've seen enough. Kid is some sort of fish creature.
Yeah, there's gotta be fish
Yeah.
creatures here after that
They're-
weird reaction from Sora, and like...
Well, and when they're playing like the rock, paper, scissors, charades puzzle, the first thing, at first you lose, and Mayo makes you be a fish.
Yeah, salmon. There's just, and it's
There's
like,
there's
and
too many.
we had like, how many fingers do I have? Just like stuff like that. Yeah.
I do not know what a human child looks like, because I am a fish.
He's at the
Or
very.
some kind of Lemurian, right? Like, what is this? Lemurians with 3 eyes? Like, is someone gonna secretly have a 3rd eye on top of their head? Is one of them secret, or more of them secretly a hologram? Is Coco a hologram?
Yeah. Or like he's spliced
I think
with
so.
the DNA of Lemurians, like somehow they recovered it from the trench. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's really what I'm expecting now, through this.
Yeah,
like,
otherwise,
if
why
it's
would they
not
bring up that
Age
heat
Ulcer.
vent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Are we gonna meet some
stuff.
Lemurians later? It'd be pretty cool.
No comment, because I don't know. But alrighty. Well, I guess thanks for listening, everybody. It will probably be more than 6 sessions for this game. But anyway, all right, and talk to you later.
Cool.
Goodbye.
Cool.